stand, please, pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All meetings to order. Motion to approve the agenda with flexibility.
Motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. We have a second. All in favor, signal by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Approved June 18th, 2024 Commissioner meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the June 18th Commissioner meeting.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. Do we have a second?
A second.
We have a second. All in favor, signal by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Public comment. Yes.
Curious, are you planning on hiring any new road crew back? Any additional road crew workers?
No.
You're not planning on hiring anybody, huh?
No.
So how are we to be getting our roads upgraded or bladed or anything? What's the plan for that with the short, you have 1.5 road workers right now?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Well, Whipple do our main roads, and the secondary roads we're working on getting blades strategically put in the county, and people that want to work on those roads will have to come in, apply, because they'll have to be a temporary worker, so they're covered. Kind of like we discussed when we kind of did it when you were in here.
So anybody can apply, or can us that have been approved already through the board, can we go ahead and do that?
No.
We're gonna discuss that. I think we'll probably have to reapply, just that way we know who. Is what we'll probably do.
Okay, so are you gonna be putting out bids to Whipple for this road work to be done?
We already did.
So my understanding is the scope of work has changed now. You're looking at them as the main workforce for the road. So that would mean the scope of work has changed, which would call for an actual contract to do the main care for the roads. Is that correct?
No, I think we're all right.
You think so?
Yep.
Okay. So how soon will road graders possibly be available? Because I saw that contractors' work get done this week, and there's still ruts in that very road after they bladed it that are still almost 3 to 4 inches deep, with the ruts going down it after they bladed it, the very day that they bladed it. And I'm just curious.
I have no idea what road you're talking about.
The Loudon Road. Are there any supervisions or requirements of this contractor, or is he just kind of allowed to go wherever he wants and do roads?
No,
or?
the highway superintendent will tell him where to go, and when he gets stuff done, she's supposed to check on that.
So if there are ruts left in the road and it's just kind of been scratched, are there any?
It'll have to be fixed right.
Okay, I guess that's my questions.
Yes.
So how many people does he have working for him, and does he have enough workforce if we have a snowstorm to get the county roads cleared?
Yes.
Okay. If we blade up our road, can we put in to go and get gravel with our own truck out of the pits?
Yes.
How do we do that?
You go to Melissa and get a permit.
Okay.
We first need to check with Melissa before blading the road.
Well, when you blade your road, we like to have it checked before you put the gravel on it, 'cause we like to have a nice, and I'm sure it's gonna be fine in your case, because it's your own road. But there's,
That's why it's never been bladed before by the county.
What road are we talking about?
212
I don't know yet. I'm sorry.
Gearsons,
Karen Gearson.
Okay.
212th Avenue,
down to Paula's house.
past,
I
that's
think
all
there's a blade in
212.
there in a day or two, actually.
And then Weimer Road, what is that, 210th?
Okay.
I mean, that road's never been fixed since the flood.
Okay.
So I go to Melissa and get,
A gravel permit,
okay,
and we'll do 25 loads a year.
and where is it, what pit? Mays Pit or Whipple's Pit or whose pit?
Probably be whichever's closest to you.
I don't know where Whipple's Pit is.
Farmley.
Farmley, so it'd be probably Mays Pit.
And it's not screened, it would be pit run.
Which means it's just white rock.
No, not
It's
made.
not white.
Okay,
It's what's on Central Loop.
okay.
How are you getting gravel out of Maze Pit if they didn't put in a bid? May didn't put in a bid like the rest of us did.
You're right.
And I'm pretty sure the scope of work did change because the scope of work that the other contractors bid on did not.
You got to talk to lawyer on that, see how that works.
The other contractors that bid on the road work did not realize that the county was going to
We didn't either.
put the entire thing out. That's right, the scope of work has changed. You're looking at a whole different contract situation now.
We'll be talking with our lawyer here in 20 minutes. We'll ask her if we need to rebid it then.
I think that'd be fair to the other two contractors.
I guess another question I have is if there's really not a road department, is there any way that you can surplus some of that equipment out there to help cover some of the expenditures that would help with the opt-out?
I don't want to sell equipment. This is an experiment.
Okay.
We're the first county in the state to try this. If this works, I think there'll be other counties following us. I don't want to sell our equipment and find out this don't work, and then have to try to buy it all back.
So this decision to eliminate the highway department's basically you five and the public. Now that they're gone, we didn't have any input or knowledge. You guys did stuff in executive session that wasn't permitted to be public to where we could comment on it to you guys and give our recommendations. I mean, me personally, I'd love to have Ed out west there to blade some roads. We love Ed's job that he does out there. It's just, I sure wish some more calls would have been made on some of these workers. Just because you guys have a beef with them doesn't mean the rest of the county does.
Mine have times changed. Anything else?
I'm finished.
Anyone else?
Thank
Yes.
you for your time.
Mr. Chairman, I've visited a couple times on handicap access, mobility access. Going into a budget year, do you have a line item and a dollar amount in mind to do that work?
Officer Curtis has been working, there is a grant that we might be eligible for. And I have to get back with him on that. It's kind of half backward. You have to put the bids out before you apply for the grant.
Okay.
It's kind of, and I do need to get back with him on that.
Okay. Thank you for your update.
Anything else?
I have one more question. So you're gonna go into an opt-out the way it looks here, discuss this resolution today for an additional $300,000 That money hasn't necessarily, I mean, there's ways to get around that with our highway department that we had. Do you think that maybe if this experiment goes wrong, we wouldn't need this opt-out or additional money? I mean, that's a $300,000 experiment on the taxpayer's expense. I think I'd be calling it something other than an experiment, I guess.
Didn't you do an opt-out when you were Commissioner, Joe?
Nope, sure did not, but I figured out a way to budget it out.
No, we still didn't opt out. We still took opt-out money every time.
Yeah.
We had it budgeted out, and at the last minute it got through in, and that's the reason I voted no on the budget, if you recall correctly. We did not do an opt-out. We had an opt-out while I was in as commissioner, but that opt-out was put into place 1 year before I came into office.
To do a mile of gravel, to buy the gravel and truck it. Just trucking and the gravel. For 1 mile, I'll buy, say, Lynn McCoy is going toward the refuge. Will cost us roughly $21,000 per mile. And that's not counting any motor grader work, no prep, no nothing. That is what I would like to do 5 miles in 4 parts of the county.
So,
And that's what I want to use that opt-out money for.
I see. So do you recall when you came in as a commissioner, we had a very strong road crew, very strong.
No,
Our road crew.
I disagree highly with you. That's why I'm here, is because of the road crew. If it
That
wasn't
has been
for
now
the,
eliminated. But our road crew is typically what used to pull our roads up at the taxpayer's expense as full-time labor, with money coming back into our county, money being spent inside our county. How many times is a taxpayer dollar gonna leave this county without a highway crew? We used to do that with all of our own material and labor. The gravel did come from outside the county, but the labor and stuff, the equipment was here. This is a limited county and we have limited resources, and that's the reason that this county only got so much done a year. When you came into office, Dave, you're the one that brought in all of this bidding process and outside help and all of this stuff that has raised rates so high that now you're needing additional dollars. Before you came into office, you are the one that made us put everything out for bids.
No, that was the state's requirement.
That you brought in.
No.
And we agreed to. So
The state
prior to
said
you
we
coming
had
in,
to do that. Ask Sarah.
prior to you coming in, Steve Livermont came in and did our culverts. Some of our bills for culverts were $350, $500. As of right now, Bennett County cannot get a culvert hardly put in for less than $5,000.
And there's been a lot of inflation in 4 years.
Labor costs were way, way lower before you came into office.
I just said, inflation was a lot different 4 years ago. Am I right?
Right. So prior to you coming into office, we had a strong highway superintendent that hired a
No.
strong crew,
No.
good crew.
Who
No,
was the superintendent?
Terry Smokoff came in,
no, he was
and
not.
then Justin Freezy came in.
Friesman was the one that was here with, and he lied. That guy, you couldn't. He lied to your face, and not even think twice.
He was micromanaged beyond extent.
And he's the reason why we got these junk, John Deere blades.
No, he's not the reason. We bought these John Deere blades before Justin Freezy came in. And these blades are way better than the 140s that was sitting here 6 years ago. I keep telling you guys that this contract work is not sustainable to the county, that we're out of money. And you've laughed at me and you've told me I was wrong all the way through this. And now we're up to the opt-out stage. We're here. We're where you're asking for more monies from this taxpayers. The mill levy in Bennett County is the highest mill levy in the whole state. $7 per thousand.
You have proof of that?
I can pull it up if you would like. I mean, I can Google it just as easy as you can, Blue. We're the highest in the state, and now you're asking for more money from the taxpayers to an additional $300,000. I think you need to reevaluate how you're going to get the roads done. A problem cannot always be fixed overnight. It takes time and a little effort throughout the year. As farmers and ranchers, you guys should know that you can only do so much in a year. You can't build an entire place. You have to do it gradually and over time. Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, would you care to hazard an estimate of cost per mile to blade the new gravel when it's laid on the road?
It would probably be anywhere from $1,200 to $1,700.
Okay, so you are still less than 30 grand per mile.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
In your bidding process, where does horsepower come into play? I'm curious. That one blows me away, because I can have a 500 horsepower road grader, and if I put an operator in there that doesn't know what they're doing, what difference does that make over a skilled operator with a 150 horsepower road grader? Where is that an asset?
Pulling up roads.
So is it not an asset if it's a 6-wheel drive road grader versus a 4-wheel drive? That would seem like a bigger asset than how many horsepower it has.
I think our 5 minutes is probably up.
Sorry I wasted your time.
Any other public comment? Opt out for roads only, resolution 3-2024.
Sarah, did you type this up? Or who typed this
Yes,
up?
I,
Can you explain anything or?
that's what the state requires, I guess. It's up to you guys how you wanna do it. There's different options if you wanna take an opt-out for a countywide, or if you're just looking at secondary roads, if it's just a secondary road, then that would be the one that you use. I have the other option if you want that.
I think we just want the secondary roads one. They're the ones we can't get gravel.
I'll make a motion for resolution 5-2024 for opt-out. Highway, or, roads only.
We have a motion, we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Roll call vote, all in favor? Blue? Susan?
Aye.
I'm aye. Motion carried.
You said that wrong. It's like- Do executive session real quick.
On this legal? Yeah. Okay,
Motion for executive session legal 1-25-2, parentheses 3. Is this you, Sarah?
Yeah.
Commissioners and Sarah and Stella.
we have a motion, do we have a second? Second. We have a second, all in favor, signal by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried, we are in executive session at 9:49.
This one, you want this? Please sit on that group.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
We are out at 10:22. There'll be no action taken. And
Black Hills Council.
yes.
inside or outside?
Sure.
All right.
You wanna share?
I think they have one. Look at that. Thank you.
Sit up front there if you want.
I need to
Oh, sure, I can do that. Thank you. Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Jennifer Seatsma, Executive Director for Black Hills Council of Local Governments. And I'm here really for two reasons. First, we try to get out to each of our members every year and present our annual report. I apologize I didn't print one of these, but I will do this for you, and it will be on our website. If you need more copies, let me know. The performance report covers basically all of our essential services that we provide to our members, what you're getting for your membership. And then it also talks about what we've done in your county in the past, just the past year. So for 2023, it talks about the outside assistance obtained. So state and federal dollars secured for projects located within Bennett County. And then the dues paid since the year 2000 and provides a return on investment for the county. So right now your return on investment is $562 to 1. We've had a couple of big projects here in Bennett County recently that contribute towards that kind of higher number. We're working with the Bennett County Hospital remodel. We secured $15 million for it. It's really sitting closer to $17 million. We're in the process of working with state and federal agencies to secure additional $2 million in grant to hopefully cover that difference. And we've submitted an application for the Martin City Shop generator. When they lose power, they're not able to get those doors open. There was a walking path application that was done essentially for the city of Martin, and that was $728,290 in grant, and then there's a local match component for that. So just a few projects, and then we also are currently working on finalizing the county's mitigation plan. If you weren't on the board when we first came out and started that process, we do an application for grant assistance to cover 75% of our cost to do that, and the other 25% we collect in kind from county and the public showing up to the meetings. And so essentially that process for us to do that is free. There's no cost to the county. So I guess that's where we're at as far as specific to the county. Just a few of the things that are the highlights for the overall organization. We do provide services to 9 counties in western South Dakota, and 21 communities are also members, so 21 cities and 9 counties. A total of 70 applications were submitted in 2023. Successful proposals resulted in over $110 million secured for western South Dakota from outside funding sources. And our office has also secured an additional $232,000 in direct funding to subsidize our work. Those are the good things. I guess one of the maybe negative things is this is the first year our board, which one of you is always assigned to our board, so you get to help make decisions on what we do internally with our dues. This is the first time in 10 years that we've approved a dues increase. We were at 52 cents per capita before. In 2025, it'll be 52 cents plus CPI, which was 3.4%. So the impact to you for your dues is $60. So next year you'll pay $60 more than you paid in 2024. So I don't like to see increases, and I don't ever want to have to do that. But we are administrating over 148 projects right now. Water and sewer projects have received an abundance of funding through the bipartisan infrastructure law, the CARES Act, and the American Recovery Plan Act. So a bunch of money has been forced into those programs, resulting in high demand for our services to secure those dollars. Most of those are not in your county, but that is taking up a lot of our time. And through that, we still are operating just off the same number of staff. So we have staff that have worked weekends and holidays and overtime, but they are salaried, so they're not getting paid any extra to do that work. So I guess if there's any questions at all on the annual report or how to read it, these top ones are just applications that were submitted for this year. And then the bottom are work activities that we are working on, but don't necessarily result in any kind of dollars secured, but they're things that take up our time. And we have all of the counties, so you can look through and see what we're doing in each of the counties. If you're ever wondering what more can we do for your county, most certainly look through here and look at what we're doing in other counties that might be similar to yours. You know, Butte, Harding, Perkins are all pretty rural. Fall River County, also rural, but has a few more people than you guys, I think. And Custer County. So again, most of the other counties have at least one or two more municipal governments within there. So it's a little bit different. We're able to do more for city governments than we are for counties. Just the available funding sources, there's just more for municipal governments. But your county is considered, well, there's a lot of different designations, but a distressed county or underserved county. So a lot of times there are grant funds available that you're eligible for either a higher percentage or just a pot of funding that isn't available to some of our other ones. I think you're one of our only economically distressed ones. So through the Economic Development Administration and other programs, you guys would qualify where other counties that we work with wouldn't. So I always just say, if you have questions or projects, I know Blue has called a couple times and we haven't been able to do much for county roads. But again, if you have projects that are above your ability to pay for, just reach out to us and we'll try to connect you with the funding source if there is one available. Yeah, so I've done a lot of talking. Are there any questions at all on that? I'm gonna leave this here. Again, this will be posted on our website. I think nobody's working probably till next Monday that would do that. So, but by next week, you'll be able to pull it just off of our Black Hills Council website. And I'll leave this, and if you need more copies, I'm more than happy to send them in the mail. I was able to talk with your highway department for a little bit. We also can print maps at no charge. So if you have maps that you need, either for rural fire departments, your county office, as long as the information is in the GIS files that we have, we can print large maps at no cost. So that's one of the things that our counties can benefit from, where you might have to pay if you're hiring a private source. We have the printer, we have the staff that can make those maps. So again, don't want to compete with private industry, but if it's a cost that's maybe not something you plan for in your budget, or that you just want to not have to pay for, certainly reach out to us and we can do that for you. On the mitigation plan, I'll keep it very quick. We've gotten through the first draft. We did get comments back from the state, which is unusual. Normally everything we get just gets passed on to FEMA. They asked us to come back and make a couple revisions. The process at the federal level has changed quite a bit under the current administration, so we're addressing things in the mitigation plan that were never required before. Kaylee reviewed those comments and she felt like they were valuable or legitimate, so she's making those changes now. We'll submit that, and then hopefully, technically the state has 45 days and FEMA has 45 days to approve those, so it could be 90 days. But since the state has already approved it, we're hoping with those changes they'll pass it on, and if FEMA's not too busy to read it, we'll have it turned around. Your mitigation plan, if you haven't been around for these conversations before, helps subsidize your emergency manager. So you have to have that plan to get your state and local agreement assistance funding for your emergency manager, and you're required to do it every 5 years. So it's kind of one of those necessary evils. If you want the government's money, you've got to jump through their hoops and do as they say. So we're here to help with that. Did you guys have anything else at all that you wanted to add in regard to the mitigation stuff?
No, I have something else I'm going to have you address though when you're ready.
Sure. I guess I should take an opportunity to introduce my staff. I brought Alex, who's our summer intern here from USD. And then we have Kaylee, she's our mitigation specialist and resiliency specialist. All she does all day, every day is write planning documents. So.
Oh, and I print maps.
And print maps, and she's good at that, and environmental reviews. So she's very familiar with your endangered species that you have down here, which is the burrowing beetle. That's probably good at. So that can cause us problems sometimes when we secure federal dollars if we're going to dig a hole. And there's carrion. They eat carrion, but they're also a protected species now. So them the bats. But
yeah, just be lucky you don't have the bats. So.
Yeah. So again, Kaylee's mitigation and Alex is just helping us with everything this summer. So we are inundated with projects, but Go ahead, what do you have?
Could you just briefly speak about the merits of being in the flood insurance program?
Well, that's outside of I don't sell the flood insurance program, but do you guys have floodplain?
No,
No.
they are not.
Okay, so the National Flood Insurance Program is there. It's a federal program to subsidize essentially losses that occur when development is in the floodplain. Our hope when we do mitigation planning, if we're doing our job, is to help cities and counties guide development so they're not developing in areas that are high risk or at risk. And so the hope is if you just don't build in an area that's prone to flooding, like severe flooding, then you don't have to worry about mitigating that later. What we've found and what FEMA has found throughout the years is remediation, trying to rebuild something after it's already been built is much more expensive than just building it right the first time, which sometimes means regulating that you don't allow people to build, I don't know, in areas impacted by hurricanes or landslides or rivers and that type of thing. So we have governments in our area, local governments, that tend to say, it's not our job to tell you what you can do with your land. And that's okay. That's not a bad, you're not big enough. Maybe you guys specifically aren't big enough to have staff to say, well, we're going to go check to make sure you're above, the floodplain and you're 2 feet and you're building to this type of building regulation. But in some areas it does make sense. I've been involved in many mass acquisition projects throughout the state, and when you have to buy people's homes because they're just going to be repetitively lost due to flooding, that's very emotional. And once you've built infrastructure to access those areas like water, sewer, roads, removing that or abandoning that or rebuilding it somewhere else is very expensive. And so the thought is we can save money if, at the federal level, and hopefully reduce the need for all these programs if we just build it right the first time. So National Flood Insurance Program is out there, as you can participate in it if you have areas that are located in the floodplain, and by participating you get reduced rates for flood insurance. But I don't know if you guys are you impacted by?
So they're not mapped, but they could still potentially, I asked the state and they said that any community that's not mapped can still participate and that homeowners could benefit from that. But they were gonna double check on that.
We're being recorded, aren't we? I can't say what I really think. I'm gonna walk a fine line here. So what we found in South Dakota is that yes, you can participate in the National Flood Insurance Program even if you're not mapped. But in certain parts of the state, the flood insurance policy that somebody might buy that is for flooding doesn't cover the type of flooding that we experience in our state in some areas. So along the river, 100%, you probably need a flood insurance policy. You should probably have one, because at any point the government could open up the dam, let it flow at 160 cubic feet per minute, and you're flooded out. In other areas, the type of flooding we see is groundwater flooding, so up from the bottom. And a flood insurance policy does not cover that type of flooding, and neither does your homeowner's insurance. So we have this area where we're just in between. Your homeowner's insurance won't cover it, and neither will the flood insurance policy that you bought that you thought would cover it. So I'm a little conflicted. If you're not in an area that is repetitive loss along a river or a body of water, and you're impacted by groundwater flooding, I don't know that those policies would be necessarily beneficial. And I know that might be a controversial statement, so I apologize if that's not the Sally we're hoping.
No, that's what we need to know.
Okay, so, and again, I've seen this, I spent 20 years in the northeast part of the state where that was the type of flooding we saw. And unfortunately, people were paying maybe $500 a year, maybe $1,000 a year, $5,000 a year for a flood insurance policy that turned out to not give them anything when they actually had groundwater creep up through the basement, fill their basement, 7 feet of water in the basement, but because it didn't run in the front door or didn't run in the windows, it wasn't overland flooding, they weren't. And
It has to run in, it can't run out.
Right, it can't come up from the bottom, it has to run in your front door. And so I struggle with that. I have a hard time selling the idea of not maybe participation, because if you participate, then people are eligible to buy those. But I feel like they should be educated in knowing that you might buy a policy and pay a lot of money for a policy thinking you're protected and not actually be protected. So,
We have some houses by the river that did get flooded in 19, and it came through the doors.
okay,
And so those are the people, and they can't get flood insurance without us.
okay. So I didn't know if you had areas like that. So
Not many, but a few.
if you participate in the National Flood Insurance Program, it would allow those people. And I don't think there's any cost for the county to participate, just maybe some requirements that they have to, or would they have to adopt zoning and building and regulate?
So, again, the state is gonna double check, but from my understanding of a conversation I had, because there is no mapping, historically, communities that are not mapped, there's a paper that you have to sign. You don't have to go through the steps of some of the ordinances. Now, this might change, so please don't take this as gospel. But communities that are mapped generally have to adopt ordinances, and there's a lot of requirements for
and
that.
administration that comes along. So it would be
Yes.
like, in order to adopt zoning, you have to have a comp plan, you know, and then if you have zoning, you gotta have somebody who can administrate it. It can be a lot for small counties. We have a few counties that are getting hit with big outside agencies that wanna come and do things in their rural parts that they just aren't super okay with or want to have the ability to regulate, so they're now kind of jumping on board and adopting zoning, but it's a lot of work. And I always warn our rural areas that if you go down the route of adopting zoning, that's probably gonna require some kind of additional either FTE or part-time person who can do that work, and finding somebody who's trained in administrating zoning, unless your state's attorney wants to do it, no. So again, I feel like local government is just a balance of knowing what you need, you know, is the cost and the effort and the need for experienced people to do that worth it? I mean, that's a local decision that I can't make for you, but we're here to assist if you have questions on that. And what Jeff is getting at is those people who were impacted by that flooding aren't currently eligible to buy a policy if the county doesn't participate. Sounds like it's kind of easy now. If
They're checking
they're
on it.
checking,
But so my advice on this, and what I usually tell people if they have any interest in the NFIP, is contact the state NFIP coordinator, and Mark Macy, and he can get you the information.
and you'd have to decide. Yeah, it's hard. How much do you want to be forced as a county to have to regulate things? And if you go down that route, there's a lot to it. But we're here to help if you need answers on any of that. And thank you for pointing out that there are current people in the county that were impacted by flood that aren't eligible because you don't currently participate. So, sorry, I wasn't aware. So yeah, maybe I didn't support what you were hoping, but
Actually, you did.
okay.
Don't feel bad.
Alrighty, well, if there's nothing else, I'll get out of your way. I'm sure you have more important things to do, but I'm gonna leave this here if you guys look through it and have questions. And again, if you have needs or if there's things that you want from our Council of Governments, you know, the $1,800 a year you pay us is endless services. So whatever you request, if we can help you, we will do that, and it doesn't cost you anything, so. Okay,
Thank you.
all right, it's good seeing everybody.
Thank you.
Take care. No more basket, not for a while. I'll come back though. Probably get a bone to pick with whoever won after.
Golden West phone system, solutions for estimate for 7 lines. Who was,
I think Jolene is the one who spoke to them. The auditor's voicemail we cannot get into. They can't be fixed because the system is so outdated. So basically, if we don't get a new system, we can't check the auditor's voicemail.
so we need a new phone system,
We basically need one, yes.
okay? So, do we wanna wait and table this until Jolene can talk to us in 2 weeks about this? Would that be
Yes.
would that be? Okay. Got a second?
Second.
Second, all in favor, signal by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Do you have a copy of the quote? I do not know, she didn't give me one.
Will she read next week or 2 weeks?
If we could have it before the meeting.
Okay. Deputy coroner. So you want to be a deputy coroner?
Yes. I was approached by it, so.
For it. Okay. You know this other fellow?
John, yep, he's out of Long Valley area.
You live in town now?
I do live in town.
He lives in Wombly, doesn't he?
Just outside of Long Valley, I want to say,
On the,
between Wombly and Long Valley.
Thoughts?
I'd like to just wait on John, till we find out mileage and things like that. I'm not sure what the mileage would be, and I'll make a motion to appoint Tanner Goss as deputy coroner, effective today.
We have a motion, we have a second?
Second.
We have a second, all in favor, signal by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Hopefully we don't need you.
Check my faults 3 or 4 times.
Take me into the Emergency Management Disaster Declaration Resolution 4-2024. How's that? Mr. Sisco?
He's throwing his way back.
You're up.
I'm up. So did you guys see the disaster declaration that we wrote it?
Yes.
The reason we're doing that is because the state is going to put Bennett County in with the disaster for the eastern part of the state. And so that means that we can turn in some expenses. I don't think the county's gonna do much. We'll not be able to do much. We didn't do that much. City maybe, we're just waiting to see how much there is. There will be debris removal. The thing that I had hoped was in there would be in this is individual assistance, so people that had their roof ruined by hail in this storm. But it's not, it's only public assistance for public infrastructure and maybe nonprofits. We haven't heard that yet. We had one nonprofit agency that had some damage. They might be able to, the whole building. Yeah, that's it. So anyway, the other thing is La Creek Electric had substantial costs and Bennett County and a couple other counties. Do you want to address that, Josh? Do you want to say anything?
So, to my understanding, FEMA directly contacted the county and Jackson County to apply for the disaster. With the piggyback of the flooding in the eastern side of the state, we're able to now go against and get some FEMA funding to replace the 55 poles that we lost in windstorm last week.
So,
You know, one thing about FEMA funding, especially in 55 pole loss like this, if we don't get national assistance to help, it's member-based rebate, so it's all on the Creek's members, so it's
What's the whole cost?
it was 15,000 was the dollar amount for Bennett County. Correct.
that's a threshold.
Yeah, the threshold.
Yeah.
My 3 transmission poles alone will cover that 15,000.
So we're doing this for the most part to help them.
Well, we're
which helps us in the long run.
Yeah.
So, I think Sarah said that. Did I cut you off?
No.
Sarah said we can take action on this today, correct, Sarah?
Correct.
I have to have it in by the 12th. But do you guys have any questions for us?
Do you know, is there a match to the assistance? Sometimes there's a soft match.
This one, I believe, pays 75%. Then the state chips in another 10 to 15. And you have to,
I cover the rest. The creek covers the rest.
the 10%. So 10% match, which would be the responsibility of, in their case, of the creek.
It's still a lot cheaper than,
My opinion on FEMA money, it's national money, not Bennett County money. I mean, our small portion of what we pay nationally.
I'll make a motion for a resolution.
Do you wanna read it?
You want me to read it? You're offering?
You have one, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
I got it.
Go ahead, go for it.
Whereas Bennett County experienced a severe summer storm on June 25th, 2024, with large hail, strong winds, and heavy rain, resulting in a natural disaster caused structural damage to private property and public infrastructure, damage to livestock, crops, and pasture land, and damage to the local power grid. The Bennett County Commissioners resolve that said storm damage constitutes a natural disaster of such severity and magnitude that effective response is beyond the capabilities of this county or even the state of South Dakota, and that federal assistance is necessary, and there is no emergency plan available to alleviate the damage resulting from these conditions. And whereas Bennett County does not have the financial resources to respond to this disaster, and whereas Bennett County residents may lack the personal financial resources to respond to this disaster, and now therefore be it resolved, the Board of County Commissioners of Bennett County, South Dakota declare a natural disaster storm emergency. And it is further resolved, we, the Board of Commissioners of Bennett County, respectfully petition the Governor of the State of South Dakota, the United States Department of Agriculture, and the President of the United States to provide with all dispatch and remedy any state and or federal assistance available for this emergency.
Good job.
One thing that I do want to say on this is, Dustin Height from the state office, he's went above and beyond the FEMA state office, above and beyond to get Bennett County tied in. The only reason Bennett County was able to fall in, Bennett and Jackson to fall into this was the weather service agreed that this was the same weather pattern that caused the flooding. If it wouldn't have been the same weather pattern, they wouldn't even look at it, but that's why, that is how we got tied into that flooding, it's the same weather pattern.
Can I make my motion, no, sir? Make a motion to adopt resolution number 4-2, 2024 summer storm disaster declaration.
we have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Roll call, vote. Blue?
Aye.
Susan?
Aye.
Bill? Aye. Dave? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried.
Do you guys need to sign this, or do
Yes.
I just, okay.
I appreciate you guys
Oh,
putting that file into that, it's gonna help the membership.
to help everyone in this room eventually.
Yeah. Solid up. I'm not sure if you guys went out and evaluated the open highway from the hail damage that caused all of these out there.
We were talking about it.
It's on the radar.
There's a couple maps from the storm. Yellow pins are where I identified damage. You can kind of see the path of the storm based on that. That's probably the same storm When they hit Bennett County, it probably come from Dave Creek.
Yep.
It came to us, and then by the time it crossed the highway, it went a little ways, a few miles south. The damage really was a lot less. And there's way more than that, than those pins. That's just the ones I know about.
Fair board members.
Very pleasing.
Hey, thanks, guys.
Oh, thank you.
You're up. Fair board members?
There were a couple terms up. Well, there were 3 terms up. One of them said that they would run again or be on the board again. 2 of them said no, that they didn't want to be on it. So it's up to the fair board to come up with different names or people to put on the fair board. They came up with 3 different names to replace 2 people. And I said, what do your bylaws say? And none of them do. And I said, why are you replacing 2 people with 3 people? I said, I'll take it to the commissioners because we have to present the names to you guys anyway.
And how many board members are there on the fair board?
There's supposed to be 9, not counting the 1 county commissioner. Right there's the bylaw, but Article 2.
Why so many?
I don't know.
Who's all on the fair board?
There's Sam Smith, Kathy Mansfield, Slater McKay, Jay Neese, I'm waiting for her, she's still writing. Dave, Rachel Sturkle, Clay Harris.
Was T on there?
Not anymore. He was, but not anymore. The ones that did not want to be on it again was Cody Allen and Belton Thayer.
So whose terms are up?
Cody and
Cody and
Belton's and
Belton.
Rachel's. And Rachel said she would be on it again. But the other 2 did not want to.
So you have 3 names to replace
2.
the 2 people.
Do you need 9 people?
What's that?
Do you need 9 board members?
That's, I don't know. That's between you guys and the fair board.
The more
That
that
was
help
all
with
way
fair, the
before
better.
me.
They don't make any money, do they?
Not
If
really.
anyone can volunteer.
Yeah, but nobody does.
So I just told them I'd give you guys the names and the situations.
So what are the names?
Sam Rissy, Shiloh Krolikowski, and who did I say the other one?
Sorry?
Is the other one should be listed. Not that I gave you. Oh, Ryan Pettit.
Do we have to vote on that?
Or
We
we just,
You
usually
guys
take
have-
the recommendation of the fair board
Yeah,
and
so
get a
it's-
letter that recommends, we recommend these people, and the commission votes just to get it through the minutes.
Right,
It's not really, I don't
I
feel it's
didn't
the
know.
commissioner's responsibility to
increase or decrease.
name, to appoint. I mean, to me, it's a formality to put through the minutes so that you know who's on the fair board. The fair board's kind of their own.
And that's, I mean, I don't care. I just told them I'd bring the names and this is what, how it reads.
don't get deck cards on cutting board.
We'll leave that to you guys.
What do the bylaws say? If they recommend and then the commission approves?
The bylaw says the Bennett County Fair Board will consist of a 10-member board. Recommendations for membership for 9 of the members will be made by the Fair Board. 3 members will be selected each year and approved by the Board of Bennett County Commissioners. 1 member of the board will be a county commissioner appointed to the board by the chairman of the county commission.
So they got,
Bill and Blue are on the fair board deal now. That's what was my understanding.
so just take it back to them, say you got rid of 2 names.
I can do that, if that's what you guys want me to do, that's fine.
Yeah.
And draw, cut,
Whatever.
You have 2 commissioners listed on? So, but that only says 1, so get rid of a commissioner and then you have the other 3 people.
Okay.
I didn't say which commissioner. I mean, right? It says 1 commissioner. The bylaws.
And I don't know when the 2 started, I really don't.
The 2.
So there's
Maybe
9
30
and
years
11
ago.
total.
Yeah.
11 currently, if there's 2 commissioners.
Like,
You got the names over there. I gotta go back at the names. I don't have 11
you don't have,
fingers.
you don't have Sam and Ryan and, who's the other one?
Shiloh.
No, you don't have them down yet.
It's
Like
a 10-member
legal.
board, which means, okay,
That's
1
true,
commissioner,
yeah.
and 9.
No, you're good. You're good.
9 members plus a commissioner.
but the commissioners don't vote, right?
I don't think so.
They're just there as a representative.
Oh, we're supposed to show for the meeting?
I had you guys there that one time, come on now.
That's right, you did.
Yes, I did.
That would be my recommendation, is
Take it back to them and say, pick 2. Okay, I can do that.
You have to pick 3,
2.
right? There's 3,
There's,
there's 3.
but Rachel's staying on. Rachel renewed her term.
We'll have to approve her vote.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
okay, so put her on the list. Okay, I can do that. So can I be put on for, when's your next meeting?
Be the
17.
Okay, if I have to, I'll just text them all or call them all. I can't email them because then I end up texting them, check your emails.
All right.
Thank you.
Yep. All right, executive session, personnel.
Can I make that motion?
Yeah, which one are you gonna see first?
Maybe JC.
What do you want in there?
I just want the commissioners and Sarah
Okay.
and myself.
Motion for executive session personnel 1-25-2, parentheses 1, JC, the commissioners, and Sarah. Please.
Do we have a motion,
Make that motion.
or motion, got a second?
Second.
I have a second, all in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. We are now in executive session at 11:01. We are back in at 12:55. We're back in at 12:55. No action required. Old and new business. Going once. Going twice.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. This meeting is now adjourned at 12:56. Find out tomorrow.
Right.
Yep.